All right, good morning. Coach Jeff Stewart, Windsor Forest High School, going into my fourth season at Windsor, my 29th overall coaching. With me today, I have Trocon Johnson, Victor Walker, and Marquise Lunnan. So far this year, we've probably got about 70 kids in the program. New kids, probably about 25, 30 freshmen. Our key returning players are these three guys sitting up here with me today. Trocon is our starting center, played there last year. Just a hard-nosed kid. Found out last Friday night in the Jamboree, or the scrimmage game. He also played a little linebacker, so we'll play him there a little bit. Marquise Lunnan came on at the end last year, started catching the ball really well. Has shown great improvement, through the preseason. Had some big plays this past Friday night for us. And then Victor Walker played running back for us last year. We'll continue doing that this year. Think about Vic played with a metal rod in his leg last year from an incident or accident he had during the off season. Really didn't know how much it hindered him until he had it removed, and what he's been able to do, in preseason practice, you really tell, he's getting back to 100%. Probably played last year 80-85%. Key positions we need to fill this from last year's team is quarterback. Fortunately, our starting quarterback got hurt early in the year, and we never really found that true replacement. We kind of feel like we have this year with A.J. Williams. Back on the back end of the defense, secondary, we're really young, inexperienced. Still kind of trying to figure out where we're going to do with that. They said talk about the GHSA rule for the heat in games, managing it. It's been tough the last 4 or 5 years, or the GHSA rule at practice. You just look at like this past 2 weeks. It's been 30 minutes on the field and then you're off because the wet bulb's going off. You as a coach you need more time on the field to get your team ready. There's only so many times you can go in a gym and do a walkthrough and get good work out of it. But you got to protect your kids, and there's been a couple of days out there that I didn't feel good at practice because of the heat. I would err on the side of caution, with the kids. This week, I think Monday we got 45 minutes out there. Yesterday we got 30 minutes. And, we're getting ready to play our first game tomorrow night. With inside the game, I don't know. I was interested to see how it was going to affect the scrimmage game, but we never really got. It actually ended up being kind of cool at our game Friday night because of the weather. So I really don't know how it's going to affect it yet. We try to make sure our kids stay hydrated. So it's going to be interesting how that affects or impacts the game as it goes on. Our biggest games this year, to be honest with you, is every one of them. And especially, I believe this first one that we're playing Thursday night, and it's just getting your season off to a good start and being on a positive note. I left our scrimmage game Friday night. I don't know if the score really indicted it. We had some unfortunate mistakes in the game, but I felt like we played a lot better than what we had done in the spring. I thought the kids played better. I really think this first one's probably maybe the biggest, just getting off to a good start for the season. All right, any questions?
Hey, Coach, what was the biggest challenge about moving out of the local region into 3-2A last season?
I think the biggest challenge going into that region, you're playing a lot of what they call one-horse towns. You know, one school in the system. All the resources go to that school. Just coming in and seeing, you know, that atmosphere of playing at your home stadium. I just don't feel like we have that here like they have at Pierce. Last year I think we ended up playing at Pierce, Vade, and Tottenham, and it's just their resources that they had.
Coach, with all your experience, maybe you look for certain things at this time of the year from your team to show you where it's going. Where do you see right now from your team? And with the game tomorrow night, I know that's really short notice. So what do you see from your team right now that you like and it's showing that you're going in the right direction?
I think this going into this year, we have a better understanding of what is expected. The caliber of teams we're playing. They've been more focused at practice, you know, the last couple of weeks. You could see last Friday night in the scrimmage game, things that we worked on in the off season, things where we saw we were deficient in. We did a lot better job of it. I think each kid is understanding more of their role, where they fit in, you know, with the team.
Coach, can you just talk about your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and the schemes on both sides, like kind of what you guys will be known for?
Well, this year I took back over offensive coordinator. You know, we're going to be a little more multiple spread. You know, to me, I can't really pinpoint a definite offense that we're in. I just think you got to look to see every night what is the defense giving you, and how can you put your best playmakers in the best win-win situation. Defensively, I have a young DC, Jamario Blige, played for me at Windsor, came on last year, and has really been a beneficial to me, and he knows what I expect. And, you know, we're going to be in some 3-4, 4-3, kind of back and forth, just depending on what, you know, offenses are giving us or trying to attack us with.
I want to ask a question of the player that had the metal rod in his leg. Is that Victor?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened for you to have what broke or what the circumstance was for the surgery, and when did you get to 100% if you have?
Okay. Well, recently in the spring game, I broke my ankle, so I'm still currently not at 100%. But in February of 2022, I broke my fibula into 3 pieces, and I had a metal rod and about 8 screws in there until December, when I had it removed. I rehabbed it, then I came back for track season, and we made it to state in the 4x1, placed 13th, but it showed a lot of improvement once the rod was out. And I'm looking forward to the season. I think this will show a lot of things to a lot of people.
Left or right?
Right leg.
Any other questions? Side note, Victor is looking at, after high school, going into pre-med, and with the emphasis on, what was it, bone? Yeah, injuries. You know, I feel like he's got a lot of experience with it. I really can tell his patience. You know, I know what you're feeling.
So it gets pretty good grades, I guess, too, huh?
Yes, you know, he's always been one of our top academic kids, which all 3 of these, the reason they were chosen, you know, not only what they do for the team, but also academically, you know, they're 3 of our top kids, you know, on our team.
Now, I think they're redoing Windsor Forest, the entire campus, pretty soon here, or is that already underway?
Yes, it's, you know, they're starting to clear things. We thought we were going to lose our practice field a lot sooner. It's every Monday coming in, talking to the project manager. All right, when are y'all, do we have the field this week? They're starting to clear closer and closer to the practice field, so that, any week we're going to start going off campus for practice.
Where will you go for that?
Right now, it's probably going to be STEM Academy over there. All our stuff's been moved over there. We haven't gone there yet just because I don't want to lose that time. I want to stay on campus as long as I can before we have to make that move.
Coach, I love to hear from the players as well, individually, but as a team, what does success look like for you this year?
You want to ask one of them?
Absolutely.
Best is like when the most games possible, being better than 1-9.
Success of like an improvement on the record this season to get better each and every game, one game at a time.
You asked about the word success. It's like the last meeting we had before we went to dead week, and I kind of told our players, it's important to win ball games as a head football coach, but to me, success is once you graduate and you get those text messages from them, you get those messages once they've gone on, they've become productive young men, or fathers in the community. One of my favorite players has come back, Jamario Blige. Unfortunately, he did not get to finish his college career playing football, but he's come back and he's putting his effort back into Windsor Forest where he graduated. He's got a little rec team, and it's just like guys like that have come back, and you see that they're positive. Not all kids are going to go off and play college football, but do they have a true plan after high school, and are they successful? And that's what rewards me for doing this. That to me, win more ball games than we won last year, but success to me is 5-10 years from now, where are these kids at in life? Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Windsor Forest High School head coach. Little
Thank you,
graphics,
Coach
right,
Stewart.
little graphics right there caught me off guard. I thought maybe
Before
the
we bring
screen
up
was
the next
falling.
team, we have two special guests in our midst. Ms. Paula Oliver, our Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And the principal here, Dr. K. Dr. K, before I'm doing my intro, I thank yourself and your staff here for allowing us the opportunity to host our media day here. But once again, I'd like to say thank you. Okay, next coming up is Islands, Coach Printup.
And again, finishing up Windsor Forest High School head, Coach Jeb Stewart and his staff and his students, and now we have Islands High School head coach Deshaun Printup and his contingent.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deshaun Printup. I'm the head coach here at Islands. I'll start to my right. We have number 10, Carson Curtis. Number 17, Nick Tootle. Number 9, Hayden Palmer. And number 1, Jaden Sutton. Just to talk about our general team overview. We have 10 seniors, all of them, 9 of them have been here since their freshman year. Looking to improve off of what we did last year. Last year, just to speak on that very briefly, it didn't go as planned. We, as a coaching staff, we went back to the drawing board to really focus on what we could do to change things. And one thing that we looked at was building our players' character and doing character development and things like that. So that's what we really focused on this year. When you talk about key returners, we have these guys up here. This will be the first year that Aiden is a starter, but other other three have been starters for multiple years. Also, our most improved player will probably be our quarterback, Chase Butman. He'll be a sophomore this year. We're expecting big things out of him. He's really bought into not only being our quarterback, but what that also entails as being a leader, showing up every day, and making sure guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Other key returners we have are Elijah Patton on the defensive line, Jaquan Jones, Isaac Harris, Isaac Gaines, Daniel Wu, Ethan Chin. Those are our offensive linemen. Those last two that I named, they got thrown in the fire last year as freshmen. So they're coming back as sophomores, been working hard this offseason. Just to talk about the GHSA rule, like Coach Stewart said before me, this week, I don't remember the last day we went outside. We haven't been able to go outside at all in the past 2 weeks, probably. But thankfully, we have our sister school across the street, Coastal. They've allowed us to use their gym, so we have been able to practice and do some things in there, not only just walk through stuff, but it's enough space to actually work on some quick game and some inside and stuff like that. So we're very fortunate to them. Also, just the rule itself being hot. These guys ask me every day, can we go outside today? I'm like, no, sorry, it's 94 on the wet bulb, it's whatever it is. And they're like, how are we expected to play in a game on Friday if we haven't experienced the heat? And I tell them every day, we just have to keep going hard in practice, doing the things that we talk about, and making sure that you hydrate and do things of that nature. Biggest games this year, I mean, it's easy to say one particular game, but I would say all of them. These guys, talking to them back there about it, they all named different games. So for the common consensus was our region schedule. Those are the biggest games that we have. Defending state champ in our region, you know, that's always a big game. Would have been our last one. I think that's all the questions on here, so I'll take questions from the media now.
All right, Coach, hey, could you tell us a little bit about what Bachman looks like at quarterback and what the offense will be like with him in that center?
Yes, so Chad is more of a pocket guy. He's not a run first guy, he's a throw first guy. So our offense, we put in things with him being a young guy to give him early success. You know, quick game stuff, different easy, small reads that he has to make just to build that confidence and so he can continue to grow.
Coach, you said you had to go back to the drawing board. Where do you start on the drawing board? What's the first thing you kind of want to impress on the kids so that last year can be built on when you don't win a game, you have a 14-game losing streak. You're so anxious to get that over with. What did you grab hold of? And if the guys all want to say, what was the thing that they grabbed hold of to pushing through all these hot games?
All right, well, I'll go first just to talk about it. The biggest thing, like I said earlier, we went to building things off the field. We started there first. Went to a lot of different coaching clinics and listened to some great people talk. UGA, Texas, Clemson, they all talked about the first thing they do when they get the people on campus is they build the person first, and then the player will follow. So that's what we worked on and focused on this offseason, was building the person. So I'll start with Jay.
How you doing? So this year, I'm looking on improving as a team. I'm trying to win at least 2 games this year out of the region so we can make it to the first round of the playoffs. Big games that we got to play this year is BC, New Hampstead, and I see BC, New Hampstead, and what's Mississippi? Oh yeah, Savannah Christian. But we got a team to play this Friday, Calgary, and we just got to come out and execute and play as a team, and hopefully we can keep a close game.
What was the question you wanted us to answer?
Coach was talking about going back to the drawing board. What was something that you kind of latched onto that kept you through all these weeks and months since last season?
We all just want to improve. Last year, we went 0-10. want to at least win a few games this year and just improve overall, both mentally, physically, to just get better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to improve on the field, but I got to give props to our assistant coach, Rusty Perry. He's been doing a lot with character development, and I believe that's helped our team a lot this offseason.
You know, like Coach Prentice said, building our character and our attitude. All our games on our schedule were looked at as the underdog. So if we can come in with the attitude of winning, you know, maybe we could surprise some people.
Coach, logistically for the practices, indoor or outdoor, like every day, how late do you have to wait until you find out when you can practice outside?
So basically, we don't wait. We just prepare for. It's usually what time is it? It's 10 o'clock. Around this time is when we start preparing to be inside. I mean, I look down at my watch right now. It says 81 degrees. That's the coldest I've seen it in probably a month. So most time around this time it's around 90 degrees outside here. So we start checking the wet ball and preparing for different things because right now in the fall, here just alone at our school, we have our new sport competition cheerleading practicing. We have volleyball, softball, us. We have cross country, boys and girls team. So like, there's limited space, but all of us have to get practice in, and not to discredit our band and performing arts also. So we do a good job of sharing spaces. Like I said, this week I reached out to Coastal and they allowed us to go in there. We get in there at 4:30. So the first thing we tried to do was to combat the heat was to practice until 7 o'clock. Wait till 7, we do meetings and lift weights and stuff like that up until about 5. So that was the first plan, but now we just go ahead and prepare to be inside. And if we get to go outside at 5 o'clock, that's a plus.
And I guess outside or inside, having an entire offseason, knowing that you're facing Calvary to start the season, I think everyone knows about your kind of offense they have. What has that been like? Have you watched them on film, and what do you expect?
Yes, we have watched them on film. We got their scrimmage game because, they have a new offense coordinator this year because Trust March's son who got the job he was looking for. So, we have watched them and tried to just pick up on little things that they do. And that offense is high powered. I mean, their skill guys are some of the best that we've seen in a long time. So just trying to prepare for that. I mean, we haven't been able to prepare for the past part of it just because we've been inside. I can't say we haven't prepared, but we worked all season on our different coverages and man techniques and things like that, but we haven't been able to just show the guys the type of routes that they're going to run outside of just watching film. So that's one thing that we are going to try to practice today. If we get outside for 30 minutes, we get outside for 30 minutes. But that's one thing that we do have to be on the field for today. And if we have to stay until 7:30, our kids and our parents, they understand.
Coach, what for the players, what at your particular position do you feel like you need to improve on in order to have more success this year as a unit?
Having to go up against Calvary and all these teams with good receivers and skill positions, not being able to go to the field has been hard on us. So we really have been having to put on many mental reps in the film room and as well as at home watching film by ourselves. So just having to be able to know how to guard these skilled players without being able to practice has been difficult.
Yeah, so here's what we need to improve on. I mean, obviously we're a little bit of a smaller team, so physicality is always something we can improve on. We're pretty physical, but any advantage we can get on the physical side of the ball is we need to take that.
I feel like we can, as a team, we can improve every position. Me particularly, I play linebacker. I think I need to be more physical. Last year, I know I was a lot hesitant a lot to try and go make a play, but I feel like if everyone can align correctly, know their job, and then we can be a lot more successful.
So I feel like our offense can improve because our offense is the key to winning a game against Calvary because we can't have a lot of 3 and outs, and we just got to move the ball and waste time and try to do our best in that game and try to keep it a close game.
All right, are there any more questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Coach Bennett.
Head coach
Next,
Deshaun
we have
Prennup and the Islands High School
Savannah High School.
football team. Next, we're going to be joined by Savannah High School and their new head coach, Coach Tolliver. The High really looking to make a name for themselves this year, a new attitude, new regime, and hopefully some more positive results from the team.
Good morning. I'm Coach Tolliver, head football coach at Savannah High School. This is my first year coming in, and today we have Jerome Ledbetter, Akeem Murph, Stephen Fox, and Uriah Davis. General team overview, we have about 45, 50 kids. We had a big number come out once school started, a lot of freshmen coming out, so I'm excited to get them in. And looking at experience, we are very inexperienced. I think we have 2 to 3 seniors, and he's one of them. The rest is sophomores, a lot of sophomores, some juniors, but we are very inexperienced there. Returning players, we only have a few that are coming back. Stephen Fox, Stephen Fox, McKean Murph, he's coming back. Trey Harmon, we have Maheen Biggins, he'll be back, and just Elijah Williams at corner, he'll be back as well. But other than that, these guys are coming fresh off a JV season, and filling in their spots as needed. Next question was what player has made the most improvement from last year? Personally, I think it's been the whole team, just coming in and installing new stuff. Those guys have been dedicated this summer, and they've been there. Some of these guys here, but both of these guys, actually all 3 of these guys are here, had perfect attendance this summer every day in the weight room and trying to get better and learn. As a whole group, I think we've made improvement from last year. What key positions do we need to fill? I think one of our biggest is not just from last year, is our secondary and receiver position. The reason is we lost a few players recently for academic reasons, but I think if we can improve on that, that would be good. And there's going to be some kids that are going to have to step up that wasn't expected this year. They were going to be kind of JV guys, and now they're in a role to start at receiver. We've had Jerome. He came in last year, so he wasn't able to play last year, but he came in. And I think he's taken a big, as a leadership leader, as a role there. And expect a good thing out of him and Merv at the receiver group this year. So the rule about managing heat, so this, again, it's all kind of new to me, but when I was at May River, the same thing happened. It's hot out there. As other coaches have said, we've been trying to get in 30 minutes where we can get in. If not, we've been really focusing on the film study, and board work just in general, installing our stuff on board, and a lot of mental reps, and getting it mentally. And that's one thing that we wanted to prove on as a staff, is these guys just understanding football in general, what about football, what this is and what that is. So that's something big that we've been focusing on these guys with, and learning the game, as well as we have a theme of the week doing that, and one of my players tells me if I don't read the quote, we have a bad practice. So I make sure I read that quote every day. Other with the heat, it is what it is. So like I said, we're in and out. And like the other coaches have also said, the storm, the weather hadn't been great at all for us these past 2 weeks. And the last question, what do we consider the biggest game this year? Coming off a 0-10 season, that first game is big. We need that. Last year it was a 3 overtime game against Josie. So I think that's definitely going to be a big game for us, just getting that first win. And then I think obviously Groves is going to be a big game. That's the only team in Savannah that we play. So especially these guys up here, they want to beat the only Savannah team that we play. So I think that's big for them. Any other questions?
Yeah, Coach. Harmon was a first team all region pick quarterback last year. Is he going to be at quarterback again this year? And can you tell us a little bit about his style of play and the offense that you actually run?
Yes, of course. So yes, he will be back at quarterback. We did have a transfer guy come in, and Trey's known to run the ball. He's a heck of an athlete. So he's known to run the ball, and actually, just because of numbers wise, with the receivers that we lost, him and actually the other kid that transferred in have actually been rotating. So it's something definitely you don't normally see. And obviously, if a kid gets rhythm, we're going to keep him in. So that's something we've been working with, and especially in our offense, we want to be able to do run and pass, obviously, and get the ball to our playmakers. And Trey's one of those playmakers, so we're going to try our best to get him that ball.
And can you go over the kids' names one more time for the positions they play?
Yeah. So this is Jerome Ledbetter. He's receiver DN. Hakeem Irvin. He is our linebacker, and I guess you could call him an H-back, tight end type kid. Stephen Fox, he is the running back. And Jerron Davis, he's going to be our O-line and left tackle.
Stephen Fox.
He does have a brother, Stephon Fox, that's also playing this year, and he can kick the ball.
So great.
Stephen.
Okay. Coach, you mentioned another player transferred in that's going to play quarterback. Who is that?
That's Andrew Lewis, Jr. So Andrew Lewis Jr. He came, or he's the defensive coordinator's son, but yeah, we're expecting he can throw the ball. He's a bigger frame kid, but he does have a good arm and he can throw it there.
It's your first year, and you mentioned last season and the team looking for its first win. What are some of the things that you try to impress on these guys just for them to get to know you a little bit?
That's just as a teacher as well. I'm a math teacher, so I want to build a relationship with these guys. And I know, like, we took them to camps this summer and get them involved in the community and know who I am as a person. I said I want them to know my son. I actually have a daughter that's due any day now. So I want them to know me as more than just their coach, but also a leader and someone they can speak to if they have any situation that's going on.
Well, now I have to ask what the daughter's name is.
Can't say that. My wife would get me.
Just between us. All right. I guess when you saw the vacancy at Savannah High, it's been a long time since Savannah High has had a coach for a long time. What attracted you to the job when you looked into it? What did you see in the job at Savannah High?
So first of all, they listed it as a math teacher / head football coach, and I was like, "You're looking for a unicorn," and I can be that unicorn. And just looking at them, I saw some clips and what these guys could do, and I noticed that they were really young. And it's something that attracted me to that job with the youth. Coach Jordan, we've got all these new facilities coming in, and it's going up. It's going up, and that's one big thing that I saw in the job, and that's why I applied for it and took it. So.
Yeah, I noticed on social media at least that you've made some effort to reach out to alumni or to at least rally alumni in some way. If you had a message for them, if they're watching or listening to this, what would you say to Savannah alumni?
Their support means everything. There's some community leaders out in the school. Out in the community, and they've been fully supportive of us and help with donations. Leroy Benton at Jenkins, he's actually donated some money to us too, and we all have our practice uniforms stuff now. So it helps out a lot, and to change that program around, we need their help, and we greatly appreciate it.
This is for the players. If each one of them wants to say something about their new coach. I realize he's sitting right there, but it's something about what people should know about what Coach Tolliver's bringing to the program. You have a well-known, maybe a legend, Coach Jordan, and so you know how he works. What should people know about Coach Tolliver?
Coach Tolliver, he a great coach. That's just a great coach, man.
Coach Tolliver, we want to make sure you're, you know what I'm saying, a better person, not just football player, but as a human being in general. He's a great guy all around.
Coach Tolliver, introduced new things to the team, brought new things, so there's more he's teaching us more also, and he's just helping us build our character, helping us get better as a team and as a person, and he just wants the best for us as a human being.
Yeah, Coach Tolliver, yeah, he is a great guy. He is helping us build characters on the field and off the field, and a great leader overall. I really enjoy him as being one of our coaches and a friend on the field and off the field.
Now, my question to the players is, you got a great guy now coming in, young, energetic, but you're also getting all these new facilities. I remember way back when, because when they built that field house, the locker room, the gym, the Ron Love Center, I mean, all new facility. Now you guys are getting that again. What makes you guys excited about all this? What about new facilities, a new practice field? Tell everybody what it feels like in school that you guys now are getting recognized as a football program.
Well, it shows us that y'all really care and that y'all want to see us succeed as a football team. Y'all want us to get better. Y'all giving us new facilities, and you want to bring wins home to Savannah High football and change the culture.
It says that, you know what I'm saying, that we're important. We're not just football players, but we're like human beings in general. And that, you know what I'm saying, that means that they want us to be better, be great. You know what I'm saying, because a trophy better than trophy kids.
Coach, it's always good when you get an influx of students at the beginning of the year, but we all know that attrition is a real thing. How do you keep those kids in the boat if things get a little bit rocky early on in the year? Have you already started to think about how to keep the numbers to the level that you have them at right now, where there's still a lot of optimism for the season?
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to creating those relationships, having open communication with those kids. And they're young, like I said, they're young. Most of these guys are young, and hey, we'll get there. So it's a process. It's going to be a process, and that's what we preach. It's not going to happen overnight, and especially with how inexperienced we are. And those guys, especially the freshmen that are coming in, and it is what it is. That's what happens. A bunch of those kids will come, show up. If we lose a couple games, they're gone. So we have to communicate with them that, hey, it's slowly happening. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think we have kids in there that are going to do that. So hopefully stay.
Last question, you guys. He's Mr. 500 on the basketball court, but do you know he was really an outstanding football player? So you guys ever sit down and talk football with the OG over there, Coach Jordan?
No, sir. I didn't know that, but that's some great information to know.
He likes talking X and O's on the football field too. Don't let him kid you.
I usually talk basketball with him a lot, but now that you tell me that, I'll talk more about football.
Coach D, he does a great mentor. You can go to him about anything. He'll for sure help you with anything.
Coach G, when I first met Coach G, he told me he was a football player. I didn't know nothing about basketball. He told me he played football for Savannah State.
And I can say with Coach Jordan, he's helped me, mentored me a lot coming into this position, kind of know what to expect. And I'm glad he's in my corner. and Miss Pottinger, she's back there. Give her a shout out. She showed up today for us, and she helped me out a lot too. Coming in as a new principal, I'm sure it's hard, but she's been supportive of all of us, and I know she has my back, and I have her back. So it's good coming in with new admin, having Coach Jordan under with me. So it's been really good. Any more questions? Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
That was Savannah High School and his new head coach, Coach Tolliver. Up next, we'll have Beach High School.
All right. Next, we'll have Beach with Coach Thompson.
Beach High School coming into this season with a lot of expectations. With their freshman quarterback last year coming back for a sophomore year. This now the third season for this coaching staff in place and looking to make strides and take the next step. Right down.
I say good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Coach Thompson from Beach High School. Sitting to the right of me is Dakari Smith, sophomore, DN, tight end, quarterback, number 4, Demetrius Holloway, left tackle, zero technique, Jaden Hamilton, and DN, left tackle, I have Ricardo Bright. General team overview, we had a tremendous amount of kids come out. You see a new facility going on at Beach High School. The influx of 30 freshmen come out, that's always a good thing when you start to try to run a program. We're going to have I think our JV team is going to really build up and pick up this upcoming year. Returning players, these guys up here obviously are going to be some key players for us. Also got running back DeAndre Jones, wide receiver James Tisby. Also have a center, Jeremiah Bay. Most improved. I think this year our line, offensive line in the trenches, I think we improved tremendously there. I think our passing game is going to improve because we're going to have a better running attack. Our tempo on offense is going to improve because we are creating an up-tempo offense. Communication-wise, it's going to improve. Key players to fill on the field will be obviously our wide receiver position. We lost a great wide receiver last year, Ryan Nugget, that could stretch the field for us. The heat. The heat. We already know that there's rules established to put in there for the protection of our players. So our goal is to make sure we can duplicate anything we see outside. If that's getting in the gym, turning down the AC so they can get acclimated to that heat. But you know, all coaches around here pretty much have that same concern because it's hard to go out there knowing that you wasn't in full pads, and then Friday night, no matter what the temperature is, you're gonna have on full pads. So that's really, really hard for us, especially with the numbers that we have. Majority of our guys will be going both ways, but I think that's something that we can also look into because that's something that we have to get them acclimated to. I mean, you're gonna have more injuries come to play when they're not used to having on full pads. And they're going out 7:30, no matter what the temperature is, they're going out there and play. The biggest, all of them. We respect all our opponents. We're gonna try to increase on the win column, but you know, it's all of them. We got a tough region. We respect all our region players, and we just want to go out there and compete and have some pride while competing. Questions for the team?
Yeah, Coach. You had Demetrius and Dakari, both freshmen last year, having great seasons. How have you seen the improvement with Holloway at quarterback? And tell us a little bit about Dakari able to play so well as a freshman up front.
Well, I think this young man has a bright future, and he's also a very coachable kid. I know he's he's had a rough summer because he had to deal with me taking over the offense. But he's really came into play. He sits down with me, he asks questions, he asks the right questions. So that's, as an OC, that's what you look for in a leader of the offense.
I think Demetrius wants some rebuttal time, maybe. Do you want to say anything about what it's like to have Coach Thompson there? I know he's a linebacker at heart, right?
Yeah, he really hard to be honest, but I just know it's for the better. And I learned a lot from him, and it's going to pay off this season.
Coach, can you talk about you mentioned the numbers and guys playing both ways. What was the roster number last year? Where are you at this year?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of Coach Thompson said at Savannah High. When you don't see much success at the beginning of the season, those numbers begin to fall. So our thing is we're going to have to build that companionship with our players, so let them know that it's a process. Within that process, they're going to become some good games, some bad games, but it's that mental toughness that we're trying to establish at Beach High School. So the numbers we're looking at right now, between 47 and 50 kids, but our goal is to maintain that number so we can build on it in the future.
All right, I got one for Demetrius. Did you work at any summer camps over the summer, and if so, who's your favorite coworker?
Travis was my favorite coworker.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, Coach, you coached in private and public school. Obviously, private school, GISA at that time. Right now, do you think that there's anything that GHSA can do to level the playing field between private and public schools? Or do you think that the playing field is level right now?
I think what they're doing now, especially upgrading the facilities, that's a plus. And they are actually providing different academic programs for each school. And that's what the buzz in this community is about, private school having a better education. But like I tell my kids, education is what you make it to be. So what we try to establish is Beach High School is a medical school. So we going to make sure we push that when those kids come for orientation to become part of the medical program. And the private school and what they're doing with the facilities, upgrading and stuff like this, or having this stuff like this go on, I think that's a plus for public schools. The private school, we know, is governed under their own rules, but I think with this going on, upgrading the facilities, providing different programs in each public school, I think that's a plus.
I got two questions for you, Coach. One is, you go to the offensive side of the ball. These guys don't know that you were a standout offensive, defensive player, because I can tell you guys, I coached against him when he was a high school player, and he was one of the toughest players we have a scheme, or I ever had a scheme against coaching high school football. So, offensive, defense, what's your preference there, buddy?
Well, I just want to be successful, and it doesn't matter, and that's what I'm trying to get these guys to see. I mean, the position that you play right now doesn't dictate what you're going to do in college. So what my mind frame was, when I was in high school, I was going to go out there and compete and be the best at whatever I do. And that's what I'm trying to instill in my players.
And as far as the Heat goes, you played in it. And back when we going against each other, there were no rules.
Right.
The coach had to use his experience.
Mm-hmm.
So now that these new rules are in, I mean, could you see still playing like we did way back then, or you think it's better that we have all these new rules?
I get on my guys all the time. I mean, these rules, like I said, they are structured for these kids' safety. So my goal is to make sure we provide that safety for our kids. I can't go back from where I play because we know there'll be a lot of people fired. So my goal is to make sure these guys understand, yes, they want to be out there on the field, but at the same time, we're governed by a certain association. We've got to abide by those rules.
I remember one time we scared you, we had the tree limbs coming through the field.
Right.
The roots. So yours, Coach Clemens?
Coach, obviously a really difficult region with some really good football programs in them. But last year we saw a legitimate divide between the private schools and the public schools. What have you done in your third year now, putting your fingerprint on Beach High School to just try to narrow that gap some?
Well, it's like when you're dealing with that division between the public and private school. I mean, obviously, those private schools can go out and get kids who's going to establish that pride. So with those kids walking to Beach High School, that's what we try to do. I mean, if it's just getting, like recently at the pep rally, I made my football team get up there and sing the automatic in front of the whole school. Doing things like that, the little things develop pride. I mean, I thought that was one of our flaws last year. We didn't have pride put on that uniform. So my goal is to make sure when we win, lose, or draw, we're going to have pride. And we're going to have to take pride in whatever we do.
And for Demetrius, we've heard a lot about the quarterbacks in this area, but we haven't heard as much about you. Are you really looking forward to showing the state and beyond all of the things that you've been working on? I know you've been grinding all summer. Are you really excited to show them the new tools that you have in the bag this year?
Yes, sir. I feel like this year it's going to really be my breakout year. A lot of people going to see what I can do. I mean, I feel like last year I made some noise in the city, but I got to make some more, you know. That's it.
For the players, coach is talking about pride, Bulldog pride. What are you guys doing to bring that pride back to your teammates, to your 30 freshmen coming out there, if they're still out there? What are you guys doing to instill that dog pride?
Well, me, like during school, they'll be nervous for no reason, don't want to talk to nobody, don't want to talk to the teachers, ask for help. So I'll try to encourage them. Like during practice, they be scared, like they're nervous getting reps and stuff like that. So I just like encourage them to get more reps and break out that little shell again. I say communicating with each other, like being close in school, hanging with each other more, and just building a relationship with each other. That's what's really going on.
Coach, give it to the big guys in the trenches.
I would have to say, being a good leader, as Coach said, we have a lot of freshmen coming in, and, for us upperclassmen, be good leaders, give them a helping hand, through the school, outside of school, on the field, off the field, just being a good leader to the younger guys.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Coach Thompson said, in the middle of the gym, in front of the whole school, singing the alma mater, yeah, that gave us a lot of pride. Sitting in front of our classes, just showing the younger kids, like the freshmen and sophomores, just be there in front of the classes and stuff.
Nice.
How's it go? How's the alma mater go?
It's Beach alma mater, fairest, dearest school, so true. That's just the flow of it.
Any other questions?
I challenge every other school to do theirs.
Good luck with that one. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
That is Coach Thompson in the Beach High School contingent. Some stilly confidence coming from the Bulldogs as, again, they enter year 3 of the Coach Thompson era.
But I want to remind you guys that we do have the food truck that'll be outside. Food will start being available about 10:45. So if you have already did your interview, you can go ahead and put in your order. But please still be courteous to everyone else, okay?
Give it up for Miss Treble Food.
Next, we have Groves High School. Another 3A team in that vaunted 3A region in this area that have to deal with not only the private schools but the other public schools that have made noise early on.
Let's go, guys.
My name is Coach Wells, Groves High School. To the left of me.
Jordan Tubes, class 2025 quarterback.
Anthony Dawkins, class 24, left tackle.
Aaron Dillard, class 2024 quarterback receiver.
Jalen Mozone, class of 2024, receiver, safety.
General overview of the team. This will be my second year as head coach, fourth year at Groves High School. So this graduating class, I had the privilege of seeing them grow and develop. I have 6 seniors that are returning this year for the 24 season. Out of those 6 seniors, all 4 of them have played 4 years of football for Groves High School and helped develop our program that we have today. We have about 21 juniors in that class. Out of those 21, 17 of them played football last year for a continuous amount of time throughout the season. Some of my key returners, Trent Toots played quarterback. D-line for me last year, but over the summer we developed him into a quarterback. Our offense is pretty off of him, as well as Aaron. We have about 4 offensive linemen that are D2, D3, and 1 that could be D1 football players. So we're going to lean on them heavy for the football. We're going to make sure that they have say in what goes on the offensive side of the ball. On the defense side of the ball, we're going to return to our roots, 4-3, 4-2, 5 defense. Of course, we're going to bring pressure from the edge as well as from the middle of the field. Hopefully, my DNs from our scrimmage do their job from start to finish. About the heat rule that's coming into play, like Coach Thompson said, when we played, there were no rules according to heat. You know, Coach brought the watermelons out. We knew practice was over. During practice, you got water as needed, and doing those segmented breaks for water. But I do enjoy having someone on the field to let me know, when it is too hot on the field, and when we need to get off, and when we need to take off pads, because the kids' safety is the reason why we're here. As a coach, I want every kid to return back home the way they came, with a little bit more condition, and of course a little bit more knowledge about the game of football. The last question that was given, the biggest thing that I can say about the games that we have in front of us, we're in a tough region. Got a lot of great coaches who put a lot of time and effort into their kids. So, we welcome the challenge and we look forward to everything that's going to come our way. Any questions?
Yes, Coach Wells. Moving Chooks from defensive line to quarterback, that's not strange, but uncommon change. Can you tell me what you saw him in on the defensive line that made you think he could be a good quarterback, and how has he developed?
We was just playing around in practice one day, and who could throw the ball the farthest? And the guys I had, he kept throwing it, and kept putting it on the mark, and really truly, the size of our kids and what we want to do on the offensive side of the ball, we really don't want to throw the ball that many times down the field anyway. So at the end of the day, he fit the mold. He came into the summer workouts and put forth the effort and the time. And so we invested time in him at that position. Now on the defense side of the ball, he will get some reps at linebacker because, I try to be honest with kids. If you're looking to go to college, you have to know, where people will recruit you at so that you can make those choices. But he does what we need him to do on the offensive side of the ball. Aaron, to the left of me, is also a quarterback, so he's coming along and shaping into that position. But we want to just make sure we put the kid there with the most knowledge of the game and that can, do what we ask them to do on a consistent basis.
This is for Mr. Toots. Can you talk about your approach to this season when you're a quarterback compared to last season when you're a defensive line? Must be a totally different mindset.
It's totally a different mindset. Coming from D-lineman and quarterback, that's a big switch. But I feel like the pressure on me, but I feel like I can handle it. So I feel like they should be underdogs, and I feel like as a quarterback, I can lead Groves High School to the end of the season.
If You also try out a kicker too?
Yes, sir. Everything, any position on the field, I'm trying to get at it because you never know. Everybody trying to take their spot on the field, so everything I'm trying to be good at it.
I'll save the alma mater questions for later.
Forgive me for being ignorant on this, but the facilities at Groves, can you update us on that as far as football goes?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Groves is receiving one of the state-of-the-art facilities that they're putting around the city. If you drive on 21, I mean, it's a gigantic building. Beside it should be the stadium. Nice facility, and we should receive a practice field as well for our kids to practice on. I think it's going to be great for the community. I know that it's going to bring back those alumni who can invest time into the program. Our kids need to see them, on a consistent basis because we have some very important people in this city that graduate from Groves High School. One of them, well, he didn't graduate from Groves High School, but he coached there. One of them is, one of the reporters today.
And then I guess for any of the players or for all the players, when you see other schools, other public schools in the system having brand new practice fields, brand new stadiums, and you know that maybe yours are on the way, but they're not there yet, how does that make you feel when you see that kind of facility at a different school?
That's community.
All of you, I guess, if you ride by it or see it online or anything, does it make you feel a certain way?
I mean, to be honest with you, football is a British sport, so I use everything as a teaching tool. So what everybody else have and you don't, my rule is you're underprivileged, undersized, what are you going to do about it? You can't sit around and whine about what you don't have. You have to figure out ways to make it work. So that's what we do at Groves High School. We don't worry about what we don't have. We just look at what we do and figure out a way to make it work.
When I ride past the other schools, I mean, they look nice, but at the end of the day, you got to work with what you got. At Groves High School, we don't got the best facility. We don't got a facility, but your backyard at Groves High School, get your work done. Show up every day, put in the hard work.
Piggyback what Trent said, it doesn't bother me seeing other fields, stuff like that. But you gotta show up and work every day, and it'll come your way.
Just like what they said early, it doesn't bother me, but it's like seeing all those other facilities does make me require to get, so we have to.
Yeah, piggybacking off what he said, pushing to be better. Doesn't matter when you started, when you finish.
Yeah, we do. Coach, this is for the players. Being that old coach over there at Groves High School, we had a saying, bring the pride back to the West Side. Players, what are you doing to bring that pride back to Groves High School?
Well, for one, putting in the hard work. I feel like if you're not putting in the hard work, nothing's going to get done in life. So, showing up, trying to be better every day, putting in the hard work, going to get the pride back to the West Side at Groves High School.
Just being a leader for the underclassmen and the upperclassmen that's just coming.
Really, being a leader, showing up every day, making sure everybody works hard to get to where they're going to go.
Being confident, being a leader, and being confident and stay positive.
Anybody know the alma mater? I think I remember the last line, let the light shine on the Old Groves High School, I think, something like that. Maybe Coach Brown could tell you.
Coach, I'm curious. How important is it when you're a program that's continuing to try to build and sustain numbers? How important is it to do things like mining talent within your own team, taking a guy who's had success at another position and possibly trying him at a position that you think could help, you have overall success with the program?
Well, I had to revisit my roots. When I played for Coach Rutland, we had 23 athletes on the field. That was from practice to game. And to be honest with you, 22 of us played football. One, we knew we were going to get in the game. And what I went back to was, you got to invest the time in the kids that are there, make sure that they understand what the expectations are, and put pride in what you have. Last year we had like 72 kids, but at the end of the day, only 11 can play. And if you don't invest your time and efforts in those 11 that are going to get on the field, then you're going to waste time, trying to invest in somebody who will leave once the losing starts. So we put a lot of pride and time in these kids that we have in front of us, as well as, like I said, the 21 juniors that we have, because the expectations are, we're coming to every fight ready to play.
Coach, how many total do you have out this year?
I have 61 on the roster.
Coach, thank you. We appreciate it.
Next slide.
That was Groves High School and Coach Wells. Up next is going to be Johnson High School, the Adams Smashers' new head coach, Steve Smith.
All right.
And
thank you, Coach Wells. Next, we'll have Johnson High School with Coach Smith.
I guess to the coaches, I'm being the representative of this group over here. If they ask, if you can help them out, if you can have your roster updated on max preps, or you can get them the most current roster, so they go to games, they have the most
Coach
current roster.
Smith coming in off of what could be considered a disappointing season for Johnson High School last season, who did not make the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years.
Good morning. My name is Steve Smith, head coach at Johnson High School. Right here, we have Jadon Pugh, wingback and cornerback or DB all around. We have Thomas Hill, offensive line extraordinary and defensive end. We have Nation Mitchell, offensive guard, nose guard. We have Isaiah Scott, running back, as well as inside linebacker. Overview, man, right now, on the roster, we have about 53 to 54 kids. We still have a couple of kids coming in, freshmen and sophomores who didn't really know much about the summertime. We had a great summer. All of my seniors, except for one, had perfect attendance. Well, two had perfect attendance, or 1 or 2 days missing. So I was excited about seeing them come back and be excited to put the work in with a new regime change. And so I'm proud that they were willing to continue to put in the work behind all the stuff that we've been doing for the past 5 years. My key returning players, obviously these guys up here, we don't have a lot of experience as far as starting. We still have 15 seniors on this team, where we graduated about 22 last year. Nation Mitchell, he started last year for us on the offensive line and the defensive line. Isaiah Scott started inside linebacker for us as a sophomore and made a lot of noise. And he just went in after his freshman year and said, hey, I want to be a starter. Put the work in last summer, put the work in this summer. He's going to be a key player for us. Thomas Hill as well put a lot of work into the weight room, started on the offensive line for us all last year, and we started on the defensive line for us this year. Jadon Pugh is going to be huge for us on offense and on defense. So these guys are important, as well as Bacon, Malachi Bacon, our quarterback, hurt his hand last year in the last 2 games of the season. He's healthy now, but we also have had depth in that position with Malik Brown. He's a sophomore, rising sophomore, who's going to be putting a lot of work in on the field for us at that quarterback position. As far as everybody else, we're playing 11-man football. We don't have any guys who we're relying on just to go out there and make plays for us one by one. We have 11 guys who expect to do their job, and that's going to help us be a better football program this year. The players that have made the most improvement from last year, definitely Malik. He was a JV guy primarily. I don't think he saw the field last year at any varsity time. And so him going from just a JV guy, receiver, really kind of quarterback a little bit, to probably being the main guy at the helm of our offense this year, made some huge improvements. Jadon has also made some big improvements on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball, where he's just taking a role on as a senior leader to make sure he does the things that he needs to do in order to have him be a better football program. Outside of that, the summertime this year has been a time for the entire team to improve. We got a lot of young guys and a lot of inexperienced guys that are going to be making their first starts on varsity. So everybody that had the time to improve and be a better football player over the summertime. Key position that we need to fill from last year, obviously losing about, out of 22, 18 starters from both sides of the ball. We got to obviously get better at our running back position. We lost 2 senior running backs last year, but I think Isaiah Scott and our committee of running backs is going to fill that void very nicely. That offensive line, we lost some very key players. We had 3 seniors on that offensive line last year, so they're all going. So we got some guys now that's stepping up to the plate, nice size guys, working hard in the weight room, doing the things that our offense coordinator asks them to do to the best of their ability right now. But obviously, we think that they're going to be the ones that's going to carry this team, that offensive line and defensive line as well. All the coaches before have spoken on it. The Heat, the GHSA policies in the game right now, it's tough to even be outside. I'm pretty sure all the coaches feel the same way. The biggest concern we'll probably have on Friday nights is making sure that we know how to tackle in the open field. It's tough to get some real tackling work in when you got to be inside. It's tough when you got to just watch film and pretty much do walkthroughs and thud up in the gym where you got to share a gym with the volleyball team. When you can get outside, you get outside a little bit later than you usually can be outside. And it's just a little tough. During the game, we'll see how it goes. Last week in our scrimmage, I didn't feel like it really kind of threw us off. I think the referees did a really good job of stopping the game when it needed to be stopped. It didn't feel like there was a lot of breaks. So I think GHSA is just doing it for the players, making sure it's been extremely hot yesterday. The heat index was like 126. So I know the kids probably wanted to be outside, but when it feels like 126, it's kind of tough to let the kids go outside. And what do we consider the biggest game? I know all the coaches said the same thing, but the truth is, all of them, we got a real tough region this season, well, just like last season. And so we're looking forward to it just being a better football club and playing better football than we played last year. And that's the goal, to make sure that we don't underestimate any opponent, take everybody seriously, and prepare every week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so we can put the best product on the field on Friday.
Coach, you were talking about the depth you have at quarterback. Is Malik coming into the season as a starter, or is Bacon in that position right now?
Right now, they're still, it's just the necessity of the offense. Malik has done a really good job of being there every day and making sure that he's learning the offense. But whatever we need from Malik or Bacon or even our third string quarterback, we definitely have guys that are willing to go out there and do their job. Because again, it's 11-man football, so it's a plug-and-play type of atmosphere right now.
And after losing all those seniors to graduation, what do you think will be the strength of the squad this year?
The strength is going to have to be the defense, because defense is going to be what wins the game. Offense's job is to make sure we don't turn the ball over, make sure that we hold on to the ball long enough for our defense to get a break and be at 100% when they go back on the field, and to put points on the board when we're allowed to put points on the board. But obviously, we're going to have to stop a lot of opponents in order to win those football games.
Question about the T-shirts everybody's wearing is, what's the story? Is that new? And what's the story behind it?
Well, these are just our fundraising T-shirts. It's our scheduled T-shirts on the back. We have a little spot over there in Savannah where everybody else is at has their community around, but we're in Thunderbolt right on Sunset. So we like to take that pride in Sunset to let everybody know that we're going to work over here and do our thing over here and try to be the best and represent that community as best as we can.
What are the things that you've been trying to impress on the guys as a new coach? What kind of things have you been really trying to build as a foundation?
So I've been here for the past 5 years. One of the things that our previous head coach really preached about was working hard and making sure if you work hard, it'll pay off. Right now, that is our foundational piece. So what I want to bring to the table is taking that step forward and doing whatever is necessary to be successful. And that's in the classroom, in the community, as well as on the field. And so what I've been preaching from day one is doing whatever is necessary for your program to build your program to be a better program. Not just a football club, but somebody in the community that everybody knows and respects.
Coach, when you got the job, did you consider making a change at defensive coordinator at all?
Obviously, last year we had a great defense. We lost a lot of guys, but I felt like the responsibility of the offensive coordinator, I needed to give that to somebody who could definitely handle the job. And my offensive coordinator right now has been doing an amazing job. Our defensive coordinator did an amazing job last week. Had a 6-8 opponent, gave up 2 quick scores, and then we shut out the opponent for the rest of the game. So our defense seems like it hadn't really missed a beat, but I didn't really think about making a change. It just kind of happened the way it happened.
And not to go back to last season, but obviously one of the better starts to a season that the program has had. A 14 or a close loss to Savannah Christian, I think. Did you take any solace in that at all? Losing closely, or does it only matter if you win or lose?
Yeah, so obviously when we go back and look at the film, we just made some mistakes. Just like in that game, we gave up 2 quick scores. But obviously, this senior class that we have right now, probably the most successful that we've had in a long time. They're about 1 game below 500 in the past 3 years that they played. So they know how to win and they expect to win, which is huge because coming into a program that hadn't won a game in 3 years, it's kind of tough to get over that hump of just expecting to win. Being a lot of homecoming games, including your own homecoming game, you kind of get tired of that losing. So this group right here, we play some tough opponents in the city and in the private school sector. And we just feel like if we just do our thing and do what we need to do, I think the scoreboard will speak for itself at the end of the game.
This is for the guys. Okay, so you had Coach Bonner for the last 5 years. Coach Smith has been his right-hand man on the offense side of the ball. What does Coach Smith bring differently than Coach Bonner? Don't worry, he's not going to take it against you.
The difference between Coach Smith and Coach Bonner, I would say it's the way that he handles things. Like Coach Smith, he's more straightforward. So that's a bit different between the 2 coaches.
That type of guy.
What I would say is the difference between the 2 is how Tommy said, Coach Smith is straightforward, but also Coach Smith cares about, I feel like Coach Smith cares about us as a man more and cares about our characters in the school and out and in the football field. So yeah, that's what I say the difference between the 2 is.
I feel like the difference between the 2 is that Coach Smith focuses on what's going to better us as a whole program, as a whole, and win more games.
And to you guys again, I mean, practice facility, you're out there, and I go down Sunset Boulevard a lot, so you guys are out there on the baseball field and you're watching that practice field being built. What's it like when you're waiting to get on there to have that facility like everybody else?
It's kind of aggravating when you see like the same pile of dirt sitting for like 4 weeks. Like
Talk about
1, 2 weeks by the time working on big field gets kind of aggravating. The ants all on the other field, it gets kind of aggravating.
Like Nisha said, it do get aggravating, but you can't really dwell on it too much. You just gotta get what you can get, build up from what you can have. Like they said, it get aggravating.
Overall, though, I try to preach, life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you respond and how you react. So, obviously, we haven't had a practice field all summer, but we've been making it work with whatever we can make work on the baseball field in the gym. If we got to travel to another facility, then we just make it happen. But we can't worry about the field. When it gets done, it gets done, and we'll take full advantage of the field once it gets done. But right now, we just got to worry about what we can and just make the best out of the bad situation.
And for you, Coach, we had a little interview a couple of weeks ago. From spring to summit to now, how's your team improved?
One of the biggest things I think that they've done is understand what we're trying to do. We're not going to be one of those type of offenses that's going to spike you for a 60-yard touchdown down the field. We're going to grind you. We're going to run the ball a lot with the quarterback, with the running back, with the wing backs, with the receivers. We're going to run the ball a lot. And so I think that at the program, they're starting to understand that, hey, all this dinking dunking that I want to cry about wide receivers and running routes, I better learn how to toe the field a little bit better if I want to be on the field. And so I think our offensive coordinator has done a good job of getting those guys who are usually guys that want the ball in space and teaching them how to be the guys that they need to be in order to help our program be better.
Coach, everything is relative, and so there's success. But obviously, last year was not the season that you wanted to have. Down the stretch, obviously, with injuries coming into play that kind of derailed things those last two games. What have you done as a program to ensure that when that attrition starts to happen on the back end of the season, because you've got so many tough, region games, that you can make it to that finish line without a team that's not really at its optimal to be successful?
This season, we've worked a lot of guys that's on the field and given them a lot of reps. So obviously that 10-game stretch with basically 13 weeks, including your scrimmage game, it gets kind of long for the kid. I mean, just not long for the kid, long for the coaches too. And so I think this season we've done a pretty good job of making sure that if something were to happen, we have a guy who at least knows how to play the position that we need to go down. So offensive line, we got enough guys in rotation to get some reps in to make sure that if somebody goes down, we'll be ready to play quarterback, running back, wing back, receivers, linemen, linebackers, DBs. We've rotated a lot of guys in to say they've been on the field. And also, man, we had a pretty tough summer going to Camden, going to Burke County, playing against some real good competition, Effingham, Bryan County. And so we've got to play a lot of good programs over the summer and get a lot of guys a lot of reps. And so I think that these guys that might not be starters or might not be second string guys, I think when they do come into the game, I don't think they'll be a shell shock as a lot of guys would be who wouldn't have as many varsity reps under their belt.
Last question for me. 0 for 3 last season versus the private schools. What's the formula? What's the formula going to be to narrow the gap and to get over the hump against some of those guys? As we know, there's always a war, the war behind the war, going on to keep your people in place.
So obviously less mistakes. The film said we made key mistakes in some critical times in those games that cost us. And so what we want to make sure that we do this season is be more disciplined throughout the game, making less mistakes and make the plays when we need to make the plays. I think the guys, obviously everybody in the city, these guys want to win those games. And so what we need to do as a program is to make sure that we are more disciplined by the time those games roll around in order to be more successful.
Kind of what Coach said, just executing what we have to do and being disciplined. And also what he's been trying all summer, being smarter as players and athletes. Like, we don't have the biggest guys or the fastest guys, but being smarter will help on different outcomes.
We got some fast guys now. You got some 100-meter guys out, some state guys out there.
Last question, Coach. First year head coach, got the job way back when. How do you see you growing so far in that job? And was it what you expected?
It's just like having kids. Like you can say you're prepared for it, but once that baby comes, it's a whole nother ball game. And so, I've worked my entire career to get to this point, and so obviously, I don't have any self-doubt in my ability to do the job. So obviously, there have been some hurdles along the way that you don't prepare for, but once you ask for to be in this position, all you got to do is roll with the punches and make the best out of the situation. So, so far, so good.
Any other questions?
All right, y'all be blessed.
Thank you, Coach.
And that was Steve Smith and Johnson High School. Next up, we have New Hampstead High School.
New Hampstead with Coach Honaker.
Good morning, guys. First, I'd like to apologize for Coach Hockman not being here. He had an issue come up with school, so he sent me. My name is Rick Honaker. I am the assistant head coach, co-defensive coordinator, and the special teams coordinator at New Hampstead. With me today, we have D lineman Kyron Anderson, outside linebacker Jordan Solomon, wide receiver Malachi Loman, and O-line D lineman Alex Colts. Kind of our anchors, kind of the four seniors of our football team. Before I get into the team, just got to thank Ms. Foltz and her entire administration for the great support that she provides the football, not only the football team, but all athletics, all extracurriculars. I want to make sure we thank Coach Milton and his entire staff. This is fantastic to do for the football programs. And last but not least, I got to make sure I thank Bloomingdale Rec and Puller Rec. Kind of like some of the other guys that you guys spoken to today. Facilities right now, we're having to change and adapt as many days as you can think of. Both Bloomingdale Rec and Puller Rec have been a tremendous help to us this summer and as we go into the season. As far as our team right now, we are operating at 110 players at New Hampstead. Last year we were at 86. Last year alone, we had 12 seniors. 6 of those guys really played a lot. So as far as the inexperience, that was more of last year's team where we got a ton of experience coming back on both sides of the ball this year. Right now we have 22 seniors that all play, that were in those tough games last year. As you guys well know, we were in three nail biters till the end. We went 2 overtime games. Even playoff game, we were up with less than 2 minutes on the clock. So that was with a young team. So we're really excited about where we're at as far as our experience, as far as what we got coming back in New Hampstead. We returned guys, not only just these guys, but we got Jalen Hampton back, which just committed to Western Kentucky University. Messiah Worrells, we lost late last year. He's one of our free safeties to an ACL injury. He's back and ready to go. We got Zach Pearson, which is our big left tackle, 6'5". He's probably weighing about 275 right now. Also, got to give him a shout out. He's also in the running for our valedictorian at New Hampstead. We got Isaiah Scott back at D-line. Again, like I said, I could go on and on about the guys that we have returning because there are so many of them. Blake Mazes, our Mike linebacker, just gets everywhere. So we are really excited about our guys, about where we're at going into the season. Unfortunately, unlike these guys, we got to wait an extra week to start. For whatever reason, on May Riverside, they canceled the contract, so left us with 9 days. We were trying our tails off to find that 10th game. We just haven't had anybody that was able to do it. As far as what player has made the most improvement, again, with having so many guys in our locker room and our weight room, I'd be remiss if I just pointed out a couple. Like I said, going into those late games, those games last year where we were right there, it was about our entire team learning how to finish in the weight room, finish in the classroom, finish sprints. So that's kind of been what we've hung our hat on since January, making sure that we finish everything we do. At the end of every practice, we call them EPPs, end of practice perfects, whether it's sprints, whether it's push-ups, whether it's getting together in a meeting and making sure we're finishing, watching every detail. So that's been our consistent message, consistent effort, and all these guys, with these senior guys leading us, we've gone a long way with that. I can't wait to see that show itself next week against Windsor. I think in Calgary last week, with us having some of the facility issues and not being out on the field, more so due to the heat. You saw us not finish tackles. You saw us, the things that you would do normally every day, we're not being able to do that. So we've kind of adjusted right now. We're using wrestling room for tackling. They got mats down. We're using the hallways for sprints to get conditioning in. We're having to adapt and go wherever we can get the work in. And Ms. Foltz is being accommodating every way she can. Key positions we need to fill right now. Right now, I would say running back. We're doing it by a committee right now. We've got 4 or 5 guys that are stepping up, and we're going to highlight what their strengths are. We just don't have that one guy that's really stepping out to take ownership of the role. And then I would be remiss. Everybody knows Paulie Sealy, been a Carroll Award winner, but I'm telling you what, Rashawn Terrell is as good, if not better. Anybody, you guys brought the private school stuff, so everybody wanted Rashawn. Rashawn stayed with us. He learned and watched Paulie, learned how to become a student of the game by watching Paulie, watching how he operated, and only being a junior, it's really nice to know that we're going to have him not just this year, but next year. He's got a cannon on his shoulder, quick release, but I think the thing that's most impressed about me is as Paulie left, there was no wall in leadership. He picked up right where Paulie left off, and you can tell every day in practice in the hallways that he's filling that role pretty good. As far as the GHSA rule, like the other coach said, it's all about protecting players. Me and Coach Hoffman have gotten into some conversations. Well, if we can do it for games, can we not allow the coaches to go 30 minutes, take them off? Just again for the player safety, so that first Friday night we're not going out there and playing 2 hours and not being used to it. So we kind of talked about that, but again, we are all about making sure all of our players are safe. During our Calvary scrimmage, I almost treated it like a TV timeout. 3 minutes off, we would get water, and then we were right back on. So didn't really feel the interruption like the other coaches said. And again, what do you consider your biggest games? We talk to our kids all the time about what we want to know. It's the 6 inches in front of your face. That's the most important. Don't worry about games down the road or games that you played in the past. It's all about what's in front of your face and getting ready to go to war that Friday night. So with that being said, I'll open it up to your questions.
Okay, Coach, you were talking about Truel moving in a quarterback. What kind of different style does he bring to the game that would make different than Paulie?
Paul, I would probably say Paulie might have been a little bit more athletic, could use his feet a little bit more, where Rashawn can sit back in the pocket and just deliver the ball. I guess the biggest thing I've seen Rashawn improve on from last year to this year is just his able to get through his reads quicker, going front side to back side, getting to the third and fourth read quicker this year than he has in the past. I would say that's probably the biggest difference is just their feet right now.
Okay, and with having Malachi and Jalen as his receiving tandem, that probably helps a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about those two and what they mean to the offense?
Having one is great for the program. Having two doesn't allow teams to double cover your best guys. And not just mentioning Malachi and Jalen, don't forget about Nate Pearson, which was a freshman last year, tight end. We got Kamari Maxwell that will be joining the wide receiver corps. So we have 4 pretty good weapons at any time. And if you guys have watched us, we line up in 2 back and the tight end, we line up an empty. out of the same people on the field. So being able to kind of dictate where those guys are going and making sure that we create the right matchups for Malachi, for Jalen, is going to be a big part of our success this year.
Thank Coach Honecker for ably answering all the questions before we can even ask them. Maybe Coach Hockman didn't need to be there. So, you talk about not thinking about the past, but did last year's, especially the way it finished, did that kind of leave, I hate to say the cliche, bitter taste in your mouth, but is that carrying motivation through last winter, last spring, this summer? This for all the guys, thinking about the way it ended last year, so does that really push you guys' motivation and incentive?
Yeah, for me, I couldn't play in a playoff game because I ended with a concussion. But yeah, that driving me. Like, I'm trying to be on everybody's head this year. Like, it's a different mentality this year.
I mean, yeah, like when you play a lot of almost like 3 region teams that are top 10 in the state, and you only lose by like 1 touchdown or just slight things, it definitely pushes us to practice harder. And like they say, we do EPPs every day at the end of practice in summer and whatnot, and I think that does push us forward.
I definitely say that we had a lot of really close games, and like in overtime, and that like took a big toll on us because we couldn't finish in overtime. We couldn't like stop the lead, or we couldn't score, and that like took a big toll on us. So we using that as motivation this year, just keep getting better. We gonna finish this year.
Yeah, the way the games ended last year does make us go harder in practice, go harder in film, watch more. So expect us to finish more and finish better.
Well, guys, you got Coach Hockman looking over your shoulder. Tell us about Coach Hockman. We got new coaches coming in. Guys are loving it. Well, you got a guy that's got a lot of experience, a lot of wins, a lot of playoff experience. Tell us about Coach Hockman, how you guys see that man.
I'll speak on that first. I first joined Coach Hockman 4 years ago. I coached in Kentucky prior to coming down here. This is my 23rd coaching year. I've had 2 stints in college, a couple of coordinator spots in Kentucky. There's no one better than Kyle Hockman to work for. Might be even with him, but you can't be better than coach. Allows us coaches to coach, allows us to take ownership of the guys, brings in really good coaches for our kids. Coach Bill and I, our offensive line guys, second to none. He's a young guy, 23. In my experience, one of the best in the business. He really gets after it. We had 2 new guys this year, in Noah Winstead and William Wallace, kind of helping with our young guys, so the varsity guys can take care of the varsity. But as far as Coach Hockman goes, I think we're finally starting to see the program run the program. Where in years past it was coaches leading everything and getting out in front of it. Now these seniors are taking ownership of their own program. They become the leaders. It's become theirs, not ours. And once it does that, that's when the program starts to kick off. And I think you can see it. And the question came up before as far as the private stuff. We're starting to keep our kids. The kids are starting. We're giving them a product to be proud of, and we're really excited about that. Hands down, Kyle Hockman's one of a kind.
Can you ask the question again?
Tell us what Coach Hockman brings to you guys as players. Is he a player's coach, or he's just straightforward, just coaching? Tell us about Coach Hockman.
He does everything. Like, he a player's coach, he a good mentor. Like, he just everything. He'll be real with you. Like, he'll show you love. Like, that's what I like about him. I like the realness that he gave you. Like, he gonna tell you how it is.
Yeah, like Coach Hockman, he'll walk in the meeting room like 7 in the morning, and he'll be like, "How was so and so like last weekend and whatnot?" And he'll just be real with you the whole time. And I think as like a coach for players, he focuses on like telling us to be better men in general. Like, he tries to build that in us, and I think like his biggest thing to us too is availability. Like, all summer we're talking about if one guy is like, we are missing one guy, we lost a day. And I think that him coaching that to us helps us better for playing on the field and off the field, and like school and being leaders and whatnot.
Coach Hockman, 99.9% of the time, he's strictly business, but He's definitely helped the program a lot. He built it from the ground up. Every single year we just get better and better and better. He's just a player builder. He builds you up. My freshman year, I was small. I probably weighed 130 pounds, and now I'm 225. So he just builds amazing athletes, speed, strength, just all around.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jordan. He does create players, and he is very serious, but he doesn't like overdo with the seriousness. Like, he knows if we're in a tense situation, if we're feeling tense, we're not out of good practice. He knows how to lighten us up. He knows how to like help us calm down and get back in focus. But especially with that player building, like when I got here, I was like 5'11", 260. Now I'm about 6'3", 300, and moving better than I ever have. And I'll say he does that with every player, every position. He really he shows how much he cares about us through what he has us do and through how we are on the field as a team.
Just one for you, Coach. You've been around different states, different levels. Have you ever seen a schedule like y'all's where you have a bye to start, a bye to end, and 49 days between home games?
It's tough, especially losing week 1. We weren't planning on that. We got Windsor, and then we got 3 that are massive. We got Richmond Hill, we got Camden, and then you got the other Maroon team across town. So we got Murray Row right there, and then we get into Wayne and Burke and Southeast Bullet. And we wanted that. To be the best, you got to repeat the best. We wanted a tough schedule. The way the home games worked out, again, it's things that are out of our control. We don't worry about those things. We worry about the game that's coming up and being prepared. So we're excited. We know it's a gauntlet this year. And like I said, it's the 6 inches in front of your face. Because if you look past somebody, you're going to get beat. Got to make sure that we're ready every Friday night to go take care of business.
A quick one from Malachi, actually. If you were scouting yourself, what's the scouting report on how to stop you?
It's not one.
Good answer.
Coach, last year, overtime with Richmond Hill, overtime with Wayne, close game with Burke. But that team across the way in Maroon, that wasn't a close game. What have you done to address that? Because, obviously you want to win all your region games, but like you said, it's also about making sure that you're continuing to keep your guys and get the guys that are supposed to come to you in the future. And so that is a game that looms big for you guys, especially with 110 kids in the program. What have you as a program done to continue to close the gap on the state champions?
And like you said, they're the measuring stick. And until they're beaten, they're the measuring stick. And going back to how we set up our schedule, that's kind of why we set up the schedule that way, to address those. Let's go play bigger teams. Let's go play teams that are similar to that level, so that by the time we get there, we didn't go from beating a team 63-0. Now we're in a dogfight. Mm-hmm. Let's build to that, and to the point like we've been talking about in the practice perfects, making sure we finish. The program's finally starting to run the program to where before it wasn't. Where there's a little mystique behind the B and the C. They put on bench just like you do. And I think these guys' leadership is what's going to allow us to be able to compete at a higher level versus these guys.
Yeah, I asked all the other teams about building pride. How many guys are seniors up here? You guys all seniors? What do you guys bring to the rest of the kids on that team, the young kids, the freshmen, sophomore? How do you show them what being a Phoenix football player is, what's it all about?
And always you act how you would, you put your best foot forward. That's the main thing we do. They don't see us in the hallways jacking off, skipping class. And that really goes back to Coach Hockman. His biggest thing, as Alex said, is availability, accountability. That's not just on the football field or in the football room, but in classes. We have a lot of people on the team that are not only always in class, but 3.0, 3.3, 3.5. Zach Pearson being in the running for valedictorian. But just us leading and being who we are instead of having the coaches, as he said, we lead the teams that having the coaches say, go to class, do this. it's us. We're saying, come on, go to class, or we don't really have to do that unless it's like obviously freshmen coming in, but we don't really have to do that. They just follow our lead, and we put our best foot forward, so they do too.
I would definitely say a big thing is SCCPSS. That's our saying. That's our motto that we live by. It's like a big brotherhood, and it's what the football team know. It would be like, how do I say this? It would be like everyone just comes together, and you're just a family. Like, this is probably the closest our team has ever been. We never had any conflict at practice, but we practice hard, and at the end of the day, we know that we're a family, and we know that we're doing hard for each other, and we want to be better, so we're just going to keep on grinding and just keep on becoming better for all reasons.
I missed the, what do you call it?
It's Sisu.
Sisu.
Sisu. They haven't done research on it. It's from the Finnish people. Basically, it's living your best life even in the face of adversity. Always being happy, being able to operate. And we talk to the kids about doing that athletically, academically, and within the community. We have different tiers that we talk about, but it's something that we've adopted. It's our motto, it's our alter ego of how we operate every day.
How do you spell it? SISU.
Oh, like the movie.
Like the movie.
Yeah, okay.
But don't.
I was about to say that movie was
That's not what we're
intense.
teaching.
But the add-on, like with Jordan and Kyron was saying, like just showing them how to do stuff, like going hard in practice, like finishing the reps, being in class, like standing in the front, paying attention, getting your work done, turning out on time. Because like you can't just go around just saying, do this, do that, and you're not even doing it. Like
I think another big thing about us, like showing the younger kids accountability, like we'll be in a meeting or somebody comes in late, you see three pair of hands just go like this, and somebody will say a number, they got like 40 push-ups and whatnot, or like we'll be in the locker room, we'll be like, hey, or when we come off the field for practice, actually, we'll say, hey, if you see trash, pick it up. It doesn't matter like whose it was, it doesn't matter like who left it. If you see it, pick it up, clean up. Honor Crew actually says like, leave it better than when we came here. And I think that's a big thing that we do for the young guys to show, like, to be better and be better men in general.
Anybody else?
On the line, Anderson's the one on the left.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Coach, could you spell your name?
HONAKER.
Anybody else? Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Coach Honaker. Next, we'll have Coach Welch with Jenkins High School.
Joining Jenkins High School head coach Tony Welch in his third year with the program.
Him too. All yours, Coach.
Good morning. My name is Coach Tony Welch. This is my third year at Jenkins High School. I've been a head coach for the past 17 years. The guys that I have up here are Sylvester Harris, Lorenzo Cohen, Jeremiah James, and Trenton Rose. I'm going to try to follow your script. It says about our inexperienced players, our experienced players. You know, we have 20 seniors, but we have 133 kids in our program right now. It's trust is like a management now, but it's a good management because we have the numbers to do our own thing within our own program. One of the things that we're looking forward to is the upcoming season. One of the reasons, and I'm going to jump all the way down to the bottom, what's the most important game of the year? Well, it's Friday night. against VC. You know, and, it's no secret to them, it's no secret to us, and it's no secret to the community. That's the measuring stick right now in Savannah. And so last year, and again this year, we have the toughest schedule in the state of Georgia. Last year in Elite 8, there were 17 teams on our schedule that was in Elite 8, and 4 of them played in the state championship game. So when you want to be the best, you have to play the best. We feel like we're one of the better teams here in Savannah and in the state. And we have a good program because of our kids buying in, you know, because you don't have 133 kids out if you don't have them buying into what you're doing. What player made the most improvement? We have a lot of players that have improved athletically, and so our thing is who have improved with their leadership. And we feel like these guys up here have improved and made our team better because they're leaders now and not just a part of the program. When you trying to get to the next level, when you trying to advance to the state playoff, which that's always our goal, and always our goal to win the state. I'm speaking for last year, the teams that we played really well, Ware County and Warner Robins, they played in the state championship game, and we was in the game the whole time. So that gives our kids something to look forward to. But like any other program, as Coach Thompson and Coach Wells and Coach Tolliver talked about, and it just don't happen at the schools with not the numbers that we have, but it happens at schools that have numbers. If you don't win early, then they start to disappear, you know. And so we're just fortunate enough that we have kids that step in and replace those kids that decide that they don't want to be a part of our program. As far as the rule of the heat is very important, you know. And the kids know yesterday, you know, we went out, we couldn't get out till about 4:45. And then as we got out there, you know, it read 87.9, and in about 20 minutes, it jumped to 92. And we had a coach yesterday to go down, you know, but he's okay, he's doing well. So when we talk about players being hydrated, you better pass that message along to your coaches and things like that, because it's real on both ends, you know. So we're just, Georgia High School, you know, there are guidelines, you know, so whatever guidelines they put out there, that's what we have to follow. You know, there's not a lot of conversation that you can have, and it's sort of like a game, you know, things are going your way, you can't complain, you just got to adjust and move forward. Just trying to, and I want to go back, because the city of Savannah and our district, they understand that we're in all ways in competition with the private schools. There's no secret, you know. And so not only us, because we have a lot of teams here that's in public schools that have the Calvaries, the Christians, and the Country Days that are in their region. And so we're pulling for those guys that are public school guys that's in this program to win against those guys, because the more we can win against them, the more that our kids will stay home, and they won't go because they think the program is better. It's no better. We have good coaches in the public sector, and so let's win. Let's beat those guys. We have nothing against those guys, because a lot of our kids have friends that play for these other schools, you know, and so our thing has never been an issue with the coaches or the program. It's just that they've raised the bar, and it's up to us as the coaches and the leaders of our teams and our schools to support football and support all of our sports, so that we can get the edge back, where those kids, when they make a decision, well, I'm going to go to a private school or a public school, they decide to come to a public school because we can offer the same thing that these other schools offer.
All right, Coach, with your offensive line, including Cameron Thompson, Nolan's younger brother, and then you got Isaac Smith. Other side of the ball, you got Lorenzo. Is that going to be one of your strengths up front on the lines of scrimmage this year? Something that's
our thing is that we're definitely going to be a strong front on defense, but those guys, they're also turn around and play on the other side of the ball. Cameron's really the only other kid that don't go on the other side, but this year we're implementing some stuff for him as a defensive tackle rather than the offensive guard. He played offensive guard for us, offensive tackle last year for us, but we moved him down to guard this year. Lorenzo, of course, we lost his brother, which is the biggest loss. He's up in Kentucky right now, but I don't feel it's a loss because his brother is still here. Lorenzo is still here. So we still have that same type of edge guy that we had. And Isaac, we call him Tukey. Tukey is probably one of the better defense and offensive line in the South. He may fall short of some of those major Power 5 schools because he's 6'1". He's not the 6'3", but they're still looking at him because, he's a dog in the trenches. And, these guys here, some of them love 7-on-7, some of them don't. But they know how I feel about 7-on-7. I don't like it. I tell them all the time, this game is real simple, but if you don't have some people in the trenches on both sides of the ball, you're going to be in trouble, And so they understand that, but we're a multi-set offense. We'll jump in the wing tee, but we'll run some spread RPO stuff. And they like to do those things, but at some point, if you're not able to run the ball, you're in trouble.
Jeremiah James is up there. And you're a quarterback?
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the quarterback play in the city? It's at maybe an all-time high with the number of quality quarterbacks we throw in. Quarterbacks in neighboring counties as well, Liberty County, Effingham County. A lot of your quarterbacks out there. Where are you in your progression towards getting to that point?
I feel like this year will be the breakout year for me. I've been looking for all 4 years actually. So I'm really excited for this year.
I'll speak for Jeremiah. He's a little modest. This is a kid that is going to probably be one of the few athletes that will be able to choose what sport he plays in college, whether it's basketball, football, or baseball. And when he has that type of skill set along with his size, he's very athletic. There's not many people that got to play on their team that say they're going to be offered in 3 sports.
What is your height like?
Right now, I'm just 6'2", 185, 190.
Coach, I wonder, looking back now that there's some time removed from it, the final regular season game with Statesboro at Memorial Stadium, Statesboro decided for safety reasons or whatever, they weren't going to come down and play. And I wonder, you weren't going to be thinking about that at the time because you had playoffs to play. But now I wonder how you and your guys feel about that, the fact that they decided not to come down and play you guys at Memorial Stadium.
Well, that was a decision that was made by their administrators, their county officials, and those things over some text messages and things that didn't even go to football guys. That went to band students. And so I'll leave it at that.
Do you guys have any hesitation about going to Statesboro?
Absolutely not. Matter of fact, our JV will be traveling down there. Matter of fact, our JV traveled there last year and played them and beat them down there. And we're going down there this year. And, they have a new coach. They got a new AD. They got a lot of new stuff going on down there. Statesboro is a real good community. It's not far from where I grew up, which is Claxton. So I know a lot of people in the neighborhood. And sometimes I think when you're in that leadership role, you have to be safe. We understand that, but sometimes things need to be thought out a little longer than it has been.
And then last one, Coach. You guys are hosting BC technically on Friday night. Does it feel that way when you guys play BC at Memorial Stadium, that it's a home game for you guys when it's scheduled that way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have fans that travel with us wherever we go. This year we have 3 home games, but when we go to Richmond Hill, that's considered, a home game. We go to Bluffton and right there. So when I tell our guys and our fans that follow us, they don't complain because it's like it's right there, But BC, we know that's their home stadium, and but we're ready. Our guys, our scrimmage was cut short because of the weather, but we played well on both sides of the ball the little time that we did have. And they understand that we haven't played very well against them my 2 years here, and then I think the year previous. But when you go back to that fourth year from here, when Jenkins went to the Final Four, they beat them real handily that year. So that's where we're looking at going back. You know, we got the kids, we got athletes, but a lot of time, our thing is we don't get out of the gate early. And that's a big thing. We got to get out of the gate early and maintain. We got to make them play from behind and not us play from behind.
Thank you. All right, for the players, like I've asked the other teams, Warrior Pride. What are you guys doing to make the younger kids, the freshman, sophomore, buy into that Warrior Pride?
Just being proper, showing your pride, like, you know, just going around the locker room, I go around and clean up and sweep the locker room, no matter who's around. It doesn't need to be seen for you to just be active in your program, no matter what it is. Just preaching to your teammates, pride in the program, or rather it's, you know, just giving 100%, being consistent at practice. All of that is ways to show your pride in the program. Thanking and being appreciative to your coaches and your teammates for showing up and being there every day. That's also a way to show pride. So anyway, to just show appreciation, you know, that, in my opinion, that's pride.
I would say that showing pride, like just going full speed, like thanking the coaches, showing that you want to be there, like giving full speed, and just like I would say that like us being seniors and leaders, we have to like show them lead by example, because if we tell them to do something and we not doing it, they're gonna be like, why he not doing it? So we gotta do what we preach. We can't just tell them to do it or do stuff like that and we not doing it. Warriors pride, man. I love HBJ, man. I tell them the boys to rep it everywhere they go, do it in a good way. Like you out of town, out of school, rep HBJ. Just Warriors pride, man. I've been loving Jenkins since I was a young kid. So Warriors pride means a lot to me. I tell them that. So on the field, man, I'm repping my school, and I'm gonna do it the best way. That's by leading. That's by doing whatever it takes for us to rep that Warriors pride.
Warrior pride, I would say, just showing respect to each other. Because if we don't respect each other, then you don't respect yourself, you don't respect each other. So that's all I gotta say.
What's it like with having 130 players at practice?
It is a management nightmare, and because you have to understand that we are understaffed, and when we have 4 coaches that's in the building, and then the rest of our coaches, which we have 5 other coaches that are community coaches, certified community coaches. But at any point, if you get a call from one of them that I got to work late, I can't get there, my baby's sick or something like that, then whatever you had planned sort of goes away, and then you have to start doing stuff differently. And but we've learned to adjust. We try to tell them all the time that that's the same way it's going to be in the game. You know, there's always nothing to go your way. So you have to make the adjustments as far as that goes. And these guys understand that we do more than just talk about football, X's and O's and things. They understand that our new, I would say a motto or whatever is something to go by is that every morning we talk about a chance and a choice. And when we talk about a chance and a choice, the chance is that God has woke me up. You know, He's gave me another day at life. And along with that comes a choice. And that means what decisions are you going to make today? You have to make good decisions. And in this day and time, you got to make great decisions, because when they're with us, it's no guarantee that they're going to make it home. You know, and when there's no guarantee to make it home, that means somebody's not making the right decisions, or somebody's not doing the right thing, or not informing the right people of what they're doing. So our guys are very locked into the after football project, because a lot of these kids are going to play college ball, but you're going to have a lot of kids that don't make it, that they're a part of the team. They won't play after high school. Those are going to be their best years. And so if we can give them anything that's going to carry them past the football and into a regular life system, then that's what we're trying to do.
Of the 133 in the program, how many will be dressing out for varsity?
65 will be dressing in the varsity. Okay. We'll have 65 dressing, 7 managers, and the rest of them in the stand. Mr. Miller. And I forgot, Sylvester's a senior, Lorenzo is a senior, Jeremiah is a senior, and Trent is a junior.
Lorenzo, this question's for you. You've gotten a lot of attention. You had a decent junior year, but not to the level of expectations that someone with as many, offers and as much attention as you have garnered would expect. What have you done this offseason to make sure that people see that the product on the field matches what they believe the potential can be at the next level?
Been in the weight room. That was probably my biggest attribute upgrade. I've been in the weight room. I've been studying the game. My love for the game has just gotten better and better. I'm communicating a lot more with the people I need to communicate with. I'm becoming a better leader. So even that kind of goes into just being dependent on it a little bit more. So now when I'm working out harder, it's just like that left shoulder has to be even better. Things like that. I've been trying to be really consistent on my mindset towards the game. I've gotten faster, and just it's really small things that just make a bigger impact for my senior season.
Where's Kentucky in your level of choices when you're thinking about college for next year?
They're an option there.
They're still an option? Okay, cool. Jeremiah, coming into your senior year, a lot of expectations. We all know the athlete that you are and the ability that you possess. But again, you want to be able to show that on the field. What has it been like for you from a mental standpoint of playing a position this offseason, getting ready to go into your senior year?
I say mentally. I've been playing quarterback since forever, since I was a little kid. So it's not really too much mental going, but I just love football. So I just go out there and play hard every game, because somewhere out there, they don't have the opportunity to play football like I can. So I just want to go out there and play hard every game.
I think these, like I said, Jeremiah and Lorenzo has the upsides because of their size and their ability to be athletic. And I know Lorenzo understands that we have Frank Kips on our staff. Frank played 8 years in the NFL, and you're talking about knowledge. When coaches come and recruit Lorenzo, even when recruiting Tavion, they go to Frank, because he's teaching them at the level that they need to be, when they get there and be able to play on Sundays. And as I was telling a lot of recruits that come in for Jeremiah is that, if that COVID stuff wouldn't have hit, when he missed baseball for about 2 or 3 years, he'll be a draft guy in baseball. And this is what we talk about. I encourage all our kids, not to play just one thing. And they can tell you, I want you to play as much as you can, because our thing is warrior pride. When we win, the school wins. champions. And the only thing is that we're kicking off the season, so everybody's got to follow our lead. So we got to start out strong. We got to be mindful of our opponents, and we just got to be ready day in, day out, and then do it in the classroom, off the field. And once again, it's a chance and a choice. And I keep saying that because it's so real when we're talking about kids is getting into stuff when they're not in school. You know, there's so much out of time. These guys know, and my coaches' wives know, they may get a text at 2, 3 in the morning, and they, you know, it's from me because I'm wondering where they're at, what you doing. I'm telling them something positive. I'm sending them a video. I'm doing something to say, hey, keep your mind right, you know.
Coach, last thing, you've been very vocal about having to perform better versus the private schools, specifically BC, because they used to be in region and now still on your schedule. Why have you found it to be important to be vocal about it and not just to, you know, kind of keep it in house?
Because I've been there. I've been on the top. And when you're on the top, everybody's shooting at you, but the only way you can get there is play the best. And I have a good relationship with Coach Brett, you know. And if he's a measuring stick right now, then that's where I want to be. And he understands when we have conversations because we play him in JV, we play him in our 9th grade program. And right now you're the measuring stick. And everybody knows that you all can go get who you want, but we have to play with who we got. And so that makes it even better once we reach that pinnacle of knocking them off, that, hey, we did it with these guys that wanted to be at Jenkins, you know, and just like I was at Savannah High. Those guys played well because they wanted to be at Savannah High. I was in Claxton, they played well because they wanted to be there. You know, it's not the ones that get away, it's the ones that stay.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, the Pecan Grove is gone?
Pecan Grove is gone.
Anybody else?
That's
it, Coach.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
All right, that concludes our media day.
Mr. Spate, before you shut up, because we don't get a chance to talk to John, a couple questions, please. First off, what went into the decision about putting in the athletic fields at the practice fields for all the teams?
Honestly, I think the reason that we did that is we wanted to be able to provide an opportunity for our kids to grow. We want to provide the best opportunity for them to have facilities that they can use. I think that's it. I mean, the district has taken a stand on athletics and provide our kids with everything they can possibly use.
And when you hear things like Jenkins High School having 130 something kids and New Hampstead having 150 kids, and then the other programs, you know, somewhere around 40 kids legitimately, and then guys that are coming out late. What can be done to, you know, not necessarily redistribute, but try to continue to let it be known that we're trying to build the numbers at these other programs so that these other teams can enjoy the headache that comes with the logistics of 115 or 133 team players.
I think that honestly it starts at the schools. I think all of our ADs, our coaches are doing a great job. I see the numbers yearly, and I see the increase of those schools that in the past have had small numbers. Those numbers are continually growing. For instance, Grove today said they had 61 players. I know there was a time when they had maybe 30 players. So I know that the coaches are doing a great job reaching out to the students. I think the ADs are doing a great job as well as making sure that they promote school spirit and really establish a great relationship with their kids.
Last thing, I heard almost all of the schools talk about an influx of freshmen right as the season starts. Right as the school year starts, has there been talks about possibly pushing back the JV schedule in order to allow more acclimation for those ninth graders that are not coming out in the summertime? Because I know like a few of the coaches said they receive a good number of ninth graders, and with the numbers that they have, those are going to be primarily the kids that are populating the JV programs. Has there been talks about moving back, a week the JV schedule in order to allow those kids to get better acclimated to high school football?
Well, I think from a district athletic standpoint, we allow the coaches to establish that schedule. This year, the coaches asked that we move that schedule up so that the season will end probably towards the back end of the varsity schedule. Again, that's totally up to the schools. We support them, and if that's something that they want, then we try to do our best to accommodate them.
Gotcha. And middle school, a lot of times the middle school kids will say that they didn't know about the summer programs for a lot of these high school programs. Is there something in place that can get a little bit more connectivity between the middle school and the high school programs so that maybe we don't get so many of these ninth graders that are showing up day one of school and can start to acclimate to the high school programs a little earlier?
I think that's something that we probably would look into. I haven't heard that was an issue or a concern, but it's definitely something that we can definitely look into.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Media, if you will, the food truck is outside, so if you guys will get your orders.
I know you gotta wrap this stuff up. You want wings and fries or Philly cheesesteak fries?